No, no. No, it is not resolved. ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May we all be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we work together with vigor. May our study make us illumined. May there be no dislike between us. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome, dear friends, for this inaugural Sunday service after the summer break. From 2002, we are observing this day as Universal Brotherhood Day. Should not be taken in the sense of some gender-specific brotherhood. No, it is brotherhood, sisterhood. Somebody said you should say humanhood. So, but one should understand by the use of brotherhood that it is inclusive of all genders. All nationalities, all genders, everybody is included in this. So this was suggested after the 9/11, September 11, 2001, big terrorist attacks. And there was hatred amongst different faiths. That was the effect of that hatred was those attacks. So something we should do to mitigate that. Also, it was thought that Swami Vivekananda's great appearance in the Parliament of Religions, which really brought up this dawn of harmony of religions coming together for a common cause and avoiding hatred, accepting and respecting all different faiths as the valid paths to reach the same goal, depending on their constitutions and the personal traits and so forth. So all different religions, they are great. They are the vehicles for different types of people to reach the same summit. So, as Swami Vivekananda, therefore, at the end of this Parliament of Religions, mentioned that now, henceforth, there should be written, there will be written, he says, will be written on the banner of each faith that no hatred, no enmity, but cooperation. So, welcoming cooperation. So, this is the one reason that we decided to commemorate that event on this day, the second Sunday of September every year. Also, Swami Vivekananda's speech actually was delivered, the first inaugural welcome, that address of thanks was delivered on 11th September. Today it is 11th September. So also this is to remember that Vedanta Society was also founded in 1928 on September 8th. So this is all three things are brought together for this purpose. And so it is an interfaith event that is being observed since last 20 years. This is the 21st year of the observance of this. So, and every year we see that great themes come up in the discussion from wonderful speakers. The spirit of harmony, you can see that how it just gets enhanced. We choose a theme that is common, commonly discussed amongst all faiths. And this year's theme is, where does my God live? Yeah, because every faith they accept, yes, God, but where does he live? So one must find out where does he live. So every religion will have a particular way of expressing that. So this is what is going to be, you will be listening. We have 4 very learned speakers, and I will just give you a very, very brief introduction. These days it is really redundant because everybody can go to Google and their websites, and from their websites I have taken this information, and you can see much more on their websites. There is, you see, Father Jenkins, Howard Jenkins, sitting right there in the nice, wonderful black suit. So it is. So he actually is a graduate in the industrial engineering and business management. He is Masters of Business Management. And then he is currently attending Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in Roxbury, Massachusetts, pursuing his Masters of Divinity degree. He heads the African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Providence. He had preached in other similar African Methodist Episcopal churches in different places. And I loved once I heard him talking about, that is what we need. He very clearly expressed his disagreement, very clearly. But what I loved was, while expressing his disagreement very clearly, he was absolutely not disagreeable. The two things are different, We should express disagreement. We should not withhold back and just do the lip service. Oh, okay, all right. Not like that. He expressed his opinions very clearly, very different from the opinions of others. And yet, he was very calm and, smiling and, interacting with each other with manifest love. So I thought he would be a very good speaker for this Universal Brotherhood Day, and I'm very thankful to him for accepting our invitation. Felicia Norton is a senior Sufi teacher, a retreat guide, and serves on the faculty of Suluk Academy within the Inayati order. Inayat Khan was a great Sufi teacher of early last century in United States. And she had come here before to give the address at the same meeting. So she is a very influential teacher. We can listen to that as we move. Then there is Reverend Kohlar Arsenault. She serves now as the pastor at the Anisquam Village Church, which has a very special connection with Vedanta Society, because Swami Vivekananda delivered his first lecture in United States Many have the misconception that he delivered his first lecture in Chicago. No, friends. He delivered his first lecture in Annisquam, a very picturesque hamlet on the North Shore in Massachusetts. So, she earned her Masters of Divinity degree with distinction from the Western Jesuit School of Theology in 1994, and then she served as a Roman Catholic campus minister at Wellesley College. Actually, Swami Vivekananda had spoken at Wellesley College there, you know. Yeah, so, and then she worked for a lot of interfaith connections, how to bring together the people of different faiths. So, and she is wonderful at that. I have known her for last couple of years, and I know how wonderful she is about this. So, now we will begin with the music. That is, oh, Swami Sarvapriyananda, good that you pointed out. I was, because I see most of you have attended the retreat yesterday, so you know about him. But you know, there are many who were not at the retreat, so let me, for their benefit, tell a few words. You just have to put in Google, you know, or in YouTube, Swami Sarvapriyananda. That's it, you know. It is. So, he has been a monk of our order since 2004, comparatively very young monk. See, he is in a way 18 years junior to me. But when you count the age and wisdom, he is much senior to me. So it is, yeah, he heads the Vedanta Society of New York, which is actually the first Vedanta society started in 1894 by Swami Vivekananda himself. So we are so fortunate to have such a galaxy of very learned speakers here, and we are sure to have a wonderful evening today. But we begin with an opening song. That opening song is very special, telling about the mission of Swami Vivekananda. That was actually, it was tuned by John Schlenk, who was in the Vedanta Society of New York. It is a very inspirational song, so you can join if you can see on the screens.
What
Thank you, dear friends. Now our first speaker, Reverend Sue, will begin. Thank you. You can see, all the interface symbols.
Swami Yogatmananda, esteemed presenters and friends, thank you for the opportunity to share my reflection on the question, where does your God live? As Swami said, I speak this evening as pastor of the Annisquam Village Church. And just one word about our unique church. We are an interdenominational community that strives to follow the love and compassion of Jesus while also being open to the wisdom found in the great religious and spiritual traditions of the world. So let me begin my response to the question with words from Psalm 139. O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the abode of the dead, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. The God of my understanding lives everywhere. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, a Jewish mystical writer, expresses it this way: where I wander, you. Where I ponder, you. Only you, you again, always you. You, you, you. Sky is you. Earth is you. You above, you below. Only you, you again, always you. You, you, you. I grew up in a tradition, the Roman Catholic tradition, that presented me with a conundrum. On the one hand, many conundrums actually, but this one I will talk about tonight. On the one hand, Roman Catholicism claims a sacramental worldview, an understanding that God's presence can be found anywhere. Professor Michael Himes, who used to teach at Boston College, puts it this way: sacraments, person, place, thing, event, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Sacraments cause us to notice that love exists. God lives wherever there is love. But when I was in divinity school and suggested that a psalm we were studying contained a feminine image of God, I was told no. The tradition I grew up in was communicated to me in such a way that suggested that God as Father lives in the heavens, that Christ his Son was the divine incarnate on earth, and the Spirit was the love shared between them. In this cosmology, God did not live fully in women or the earth. Dangerous propositions whose implications have harmed the well-being of women and the life of the planet. Since the Industrial Revolution, our common earth home has not been seen, respected, honored, or cared for as the place God lives. Rather, it's been seen as a place for us to use, to exploit as we please. Far too many Christians believe that God lives in the heavens and the skies, that God is more fully present in the male than the female, and those with light skin, not dark skin, and those who believe one way and not another. These ideas, these dangerous ideas, are at the core of white Christian nationalism, and they must be strongly refuted. At this unique moment in history, when democracy is under threat and our climate is in peril, it is all the more urgent that we recognize that God lives in every human heart and in our shared earth home. There is no place we can go that God does not live. St. Thomas Aquinas, one of Christianity's great thinkers, posited, if God is everywhere, is God in hell? Yes, he said, loving the damned. Author Christine Walters Paintner writes, the discovery that every creature and every created thing can be a window into the revelation of the divine nature is an invitation to fall more and more in love with the world. To see that teachers of grace exist everywhere means to bring a sense of reverence to the way we walk in the world. When we encounter nature as a sacrament, we can no longer objectify it. We can instead create the circumstances that nurture and nourish this kind of vision. Sacramental vision means not only that we grow in our love of God's ways in the world, but also that we grow in our sense of kinship with creation. There is a sense of God's incarnate presence in creation that shimmers forth to reveal the holiness of all things. In other words, God lives in the earth. Richard Rohr, who some of you may have read, in his recent work, The Universal Christ, makes this point. Once we know that the entire physical world around us, all of creation, is both the hiding place and the revelation place for God, this world becomes home, safe, enchanted, offering grace to any who look deeply. A person does not need to be specifically religious to understand that God lives in nature. When was the last time you truly felt at peace? Where were you? When was the last time you felt the simple joy of being alive? Where were you then? When was the last time you felt a deep connection to God? Where were you then? For many of us, it's when we're outside enjoying the ocean, the forest, a backyard garden, or a park that we feel that natural sense of a divine connection. It's also in these places that we're most likely to sense the awe and wonder that is God. Eco-psychologist Bill Plotkin suggests that given the increasing disconnect between humanity and nature, and the existential threat of the climate crisis, we need to rethink our understanding of nature. He calls for an eco-awakening, a recognition that it's impossible for humanity to be separate from nature. And the founder of the Sierra Club, John Muir, understood this. We are children of nature. Brought into right relationship with the wilderness, we would see that we are not separate. We are not a separate entity endowed with the divine right to subdue our fellow creatures and destroy our common heritage, but rather that we are an integral part of a harmonious whole. On my own spiritual journey, it is the Celtic Christian understanding of where God lives that most deeply resonates with me. And so I close with this selection from St. Patrick's Lorica. I arise today through the virtues of the star-lit heaven, the glorious sun's life-giving ray, the whiteness of the moon at even, the flashing of the lightning free, the whirling wind's tempestuous shocks, the stable earth, the deep salt sea, around the old eternal rocks. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ within me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ where I lie, Christ where I sit, Christ where I arise, Christ in the heart of everyone who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. Amen. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Sue. It is at Anisquam Village Church, the normal prayer that Christians do, Our Father who art in heaven, is converted into a gender-neutral prayer and very understandable for the modern people. So it is, and she mentioned that point that yes, we have to see that the God is in every single thing, and our behavior should not be to exclude a huge part of humanity from being close to God or being equally privileged. So thank you very much, sir. And now we will have Reverend Howard Jenkins. Please.
Again, thank you, Swami, for this invitation. I'm deeply humbled to be before you all. Such a provocative topic. Where does my God live? As we tackle this particular question, it becomes imperative that we begin a deep introspection of ourselves. We must look at God as creator. And being that God created us in his image, it becomes a self-evaluation if we reflect what God desires of us as the creator. Reflecting upon the life of Swami Vivekananda, and the celebration of universal brotherhood since 1893. We are gathered here because of his focus on providing his services to God through helping humankind. To all assembled, I would be bold enough to say, we have a heart for people and a burning desire to help humanity. Where does our God live? He lives not only within each of us, but more holistically and universally, God lives in everything we encounter: the earth, the water, the sky, the sea, and all its living creatures. Since God gave us as humans authority over every living thing, we have a responsibility to respect all that God has created. I introduced the practice of creation care, which is the stewardship over God's creation. It is creation care that heightens one's awareness of God's creation, giving the clarity of being accountable, being that God has given us dominion over the earth. In addition, we become more conscientious in promoting good stewardship of God's creation and the intentionality of preserving the earth for longevity. Taking ownership of our own responsibility for all that God created builds strength. It reshapes humanity for what God desires in each of us. We cannot singularly look at humanity without admiring the beauty of all that God has created. Yes, if we desire to help humankind, it then becomes our responsibility to care for God's creation. See, I introduce you to the practice of creation care for the mere reason, if we take care of God's creation, we can engage in thoughtful, provocative, and practical work to help humanity. And in doing so, we live in an environment that is welcoming, peaceful, and transformative. However, the reality is that world that we desire may fall short of each of these elements. But just like Swami Vivekananda, we can still make a difference within our particular communities. Each of us knows the fundamental truth of God: to love one another and to be obedient to him, and in doing so, following the ways of his disciples. For my faith and me, this is Jesus Christ. My faith and even my doctrine may not agree with yours in totality. However, there is one thing that does agree, and it is that is common amongst us all. This is to love our sisters and our brothers. The love of humanity. As an African Methodist Episcopal pastor, our motto is God our Father, Christ our Redeemer, the Holy Spirit our Comforter, humankind our family. In my perspective, our motto, impartiality, shares what is a fundamental truth as we celebrate universal brotherhood. Swami Vivekananda, a monk, Hindu spiritual leader, social reformer, youth leader, believed in equality among every being. Born in a wealthy family, he gave it all up to commit to God's purpose of helping humanity. He is the example of what we are all called to do. The truth is that some do it better than others by being 100% all in. And in Swami Vivekananda's demonstration, he exhibits this quality. So in answering the question, where is God? And responding, recognizing that his presence, God is in us, and we are in the image of him, it becomes our responsibility to listen to God by having a caring spirit for people. In one of my recent readings, after learning about the death of Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, it was written, "The Queen can make everyone feel so relaxed that sometimes it feels instinctive to want to affectionately touch her, just as Michelle Obama, our previous First Lady, demonstrated during the state visit with her husband, President Obama, in 2009. But we all know, touching the royal is commonly thought to be forbidden. But formalities were dismissed as the pair put their arms around each other for a brief embrace. Much has been made about that meeting between the previous First Lady Michelle Obama and Her Majesty, with these two remarkable women sharing an instant of mutual warmth. The protocol was seemingly abandoned as they stood closely with their arms around each other's backs. The Queen acted in a human way on the visit. Queen Elizabeth II wrote in her 2018 memoir, "If I hadn't done the proper thing at Buckingham Palace, I had at least done the human thing," end quote. It is these words that we celebrate, the human thing, that we are gathered here to reflect and to lift up. Loving one another, demonstrating warmth to be affectionate with each other. It is with our whole hearts that we take the risk to help humanity, even if it means being hurt mentally, emotionally, or even physically. We come here today realizing that following the ways of God comes with risks. But those risks bring about transformation, healing, and forgiveness. As we celebrate universal brotherhood, let us continue to love deeper, embrace tighter, demonstrate with passion, with intentionality, being a difference maker like that of Swami Vivekananda, showing goodness and sharing of ourselves by being all in helping humanity, creating and contributing to a world that calls for peace, love, and forgiveness. Then and only then will we realize where God lives. Amen. And God bless us all.
Many thanks for this very powerful message that I very much am touched by his first statement that we have to be introspective. We have to find out that, and that introspection makes us discover God. Then another thing that he said, very important, that is, let us remember that one of the first that biblical statement that we are all made in the image of God. So it is the image is a replica. So we know where God is if we remember that. Third thing that he mentioned was the love. That love actually makes us, takes us on the path to find out God. It cannot be expressed exactly in words where God is, where my God is. But if we practice love, and the external component of this love, or the visible component of this love, is service. If you see what his church does, lot of service to humanity. And that is the way we will find out God. So many, many thanks for these very important ideas. Now we have a musical interlude. My friend David Upegi and his friends are here, his companions are here. They are wonderful musicians. Although David by profession is a science teacher in high school, and then he invites me to his school. I won't tell about it now, but it is a very interesting, when I go to his class, that's a very interesting thing. So I look forward to visiting his class now and then. So I requested them to, can you present some spiritual song, because internally he is a very spiritual person. So it was not always possible for him to come and present music. This time, to my great joy, they were able to do that. So thank you very much, friends. Please start whenever you are ready. We are ready.
And although these two songs that we're going to do are not necessarily traditional, it wouldn't be considered sort of traditional soul kind of spiritual songs, I think the message that they give is in fact a spiritual and universal sound about what it is to be human and what it is to share love. So as Swami said, he often goes to my classroom. Every year he goes to my classroom to speak with my students in Central Falls, and it's one of the most wonderful events that we have. My students get to meet and open up their minds about the rest of the world. In Central Falls, you could imagine we are 1 square mile, and Swami's visit is just such a wonderful event. So we're going to do this song, and I think most of you probably have heard the lyrics. And the louder you sing, the better I sound. So. It's a little different, this style, but you'll hear it. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. That's coming up. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Ooh. And you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us, and the world would live as one, live as one. Ooh. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. And you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. No, I'm not the only one. I hope someday you join us, and the world would live as one, live as one, live as one, live as one. Thank you. So joining me today is the guitarist Todd Andriozzi. Give it up for him, please. Round of applause for Todd. And our band is Infusion Evolution. We're going to be playing next weekend out at the Pump House. But a very special guest for me today is Tapush, who is not only a friend, but really a spiritual brother who's joining us on the tablas. Thank you, Tapush. Actually, he's playing the bongos, not tablas. He's playing the bongos today. No tablas. This next song probably is not what you expected for a spiritual song, but it can be spiritual. This is Bill Withers. So, wonderful song. And here, he says, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, but that her really is love, isn't it? Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, I wonder this time where she's gone. I wonder if she's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, in this house that ain't no home. Anytime she goes away, and I know I know, 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 I know. You ought to leave a young thing alone, 'cause ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. In this house that ain't no home anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Thank you. And thank you so much for having us. Thank you for your words of wisdom, really for feeding our soul and for for nurturing our hearts. I also want to thank our bass player who couldn't join us today because we didn't have the right chords for him. So Rob Kelman is also here, so thank you. The Pump House? The Pump House, where is that? South Kingston?
Wakefield.
Wakefield, I believe. Yes. So we'll be doing original music, a little bit of thrown in. So thank you so much for having us, Swami. Appreciate it.
There is no sunshine when she's gone. That she is God, you know. That she is God. There is a story that they tell that it is when one lady complained to God that I am getting bored, very much bored. Can you give me a man? And then God told her, well, you know, he will be a source of lot of trouble for you. Don't ask for such a thing. He will bring lot of trouble for you. But she was not ready to accept. She insisted, you know, no, I must have a man. Not only that, that man will claim that he was the first and you are the one who came later. But, you know, don't tell that to him. Let it be between us. Means between we two women only. So, otherwise, you know, if it is a human being only, it is, sometimes it appears when she is gone, it is sunshine. It is. So it is with human, you know, sometimes we like somebody, at next moment we don't like that person. So it happens like that. Our Naomi told me another story, that a man and his wife, it was the 10th anniversary of their wedding, and then when the woman saw that her husband is crying on the bed. Oh, today is our anniversary and why are you crying? Said, you know, do you remember that day when 10 years ago, when your dad saw us talking with each other? He immediately threatened me to put me behind bar for 10 years if I don't marry you. Oh yes, but then why are you crying? Well, then today I would have walked out free, isn't it? And this joke was told to me by one lady, one of our well-known volunteers. So anyway, now we have a very well-known Sufi teacher, Felicia Norton. She will be telling about how her view is about where her God lives. So please, Kainat.
So thank you, Swami, for inviting me and all of my speaker friends and all the audience who have come out. With this question, where does my God live? The first thing I thought of was when I was 8 years old, talking to my brother, and we used to kneel by our beds and pretend we were praying. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we felt we should do that. And we had a little conversation, and we actually literally asked that question, where is God? And so my brother said, well, he could be above your head. And I said, well, maybe he's to your right. And then I said, maybe he's in your heart. So we had these little discussions. But for my personal feeling was I would go out into nature and I would feel like standing in a field, I would feel the breeze come by and I felt like God's caressing me. There's something numinous here. There's something pervading the whole universe. And that feels like God to me. It's like so present. So as the other speakers were speaking about nature and the creation, that was basically for me where God lived especially when I was very young. And now I come from a tradition, I've studied in the tradition of Sufism, a universal Sufism. And I feel like the founder of the order that I work with is Hazrat Inayat Khan, who was a kindred spirit, so like Vivekananda. They both came from India. And Hazrat Inayat Khan came to spread a message of universal Sufism in 1910, landed in Ellis Island. And in the 1920s, he developed a universal worship service that honored all the world's traditions on one altar. So we'd have like Hinduism and Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, Jewish faith, Christian, Muslim, Taoism. All the world's religions were honored on one altar. And this was in the 1920s. So he was a very interfaith predecessor, in a way, of how we could envision something very universal, how we all could be connected universally, and how each tradition carries a beautiful message of light. But when he was young, he was doing his prayers on the rooftop in India, and this is in one of his biographies, and he said, there's not been an answer to all my prayers. I sat on the rooftop, he's very young, and I don't hear any answers to my prayers that I offer to God. And he didn't know where God was to hear his prayers. So he said, I can't reconcile myself. So he said to his father, I can't go on praying like this because it's not real for me. I don't really know what I'm doing. And his father knew that he was really searching for truth. And so he said, well, I'm not going to be taken aback by my son here. And he gave him a beautiful message. He said, because he knew his son, Hazrat Inayat Khan, wanted to really know God. He said to him, God is in you, and you are in God. As the bubble is in the ocean, and the bubble is part of the ocean, yet not separated from the ocean for a moment. It has appeared as a bubble, then it will return to that from which it has risen. So is the relation between the human and God. And then the prophet has said that God is closer to you than your jugular vein, which in reality means that your own body is further from you than God is. God is the very depth of your being. So at this moment, Hazrat Inayat Khan had a switch turn on, and his whole life he committed to being with God and sharing a message of love, harmony, and beauty. And he was a great musician, but he came to the West, and his teacher said, may your faith increase. And he didn't really continue to do his music so much as tune human beings to a message of God. And so it's interesting because without a direct experience of the divine, like in the field I would stand there in nature, I did feel like a direct experience of something divine. And if this young boy was saying, I'm doing prayers, but I don't feel anything. So the Sufis talk about dauk, which is tasting. You have to really taste. It has to be a direct experience. Otherwise, it's not real. There has to be this feeling of, oh, I really have an experience here. I taste the divine. And later on, Hazrat Naikan went on to write these beautiful universal prayers. And one is, it starts with, praise be to thee, most supreme God, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-pervading, the only being. And this prayer feels, so the Sufis talk about two aspects of God, the transcendent God, the God that you can hardly know because they're so vast and so, the transcendence of God, which coexists with the eminence of God, and God being present everywhere. But then there's a part of God that can hardly ever be known unless you really open to it. And then a second prayer he did was more to see the horizontal plane. And he said, allow us to recognize thee in all thy holy forms, as a loving mother, kind father, innocent child, a helpful friend, an inspiring teacher, and in all thy holy names and forms. So it's not just the transcendent God, but then on the horizontal plane here with kinship with all beings, there you're seeing the divine in every holy name and form. So this feeling of the transcendent God, the eminent God, and they coexist. And there's many hadiths and sayings in the Quran. I'll just share one or two. I live nowhere but in the heart of my faithful believer. And my earth and my heavens cannot encompass me, but the heart of my believing servant encompasses me. And we talk about having more intimate connection with the divine. So we're asked to create this divine intimacy. The Sufis talk about love. It's not a God up in the clouds with a beard, but it's a love relationship. It's a relationship of reciprocity, I, thou. And you would do anything for the beloved. So we're like the lover who would do anything for the divine. So that's how where God lives is in the heart of the human and in their love, and how love is such a strong power that lives in the heart. And each person here has that heart, which has that capacity. So we're asked to cultivate that love element for the divine and the relationship you have, this deep relationship. And another thing that was, Hazrat Naikan also said that the only scripture that can truly enlighten the reader is the sacred manuscript of nature. And so this honoring, which we've already heard in two speakers, about honoring the creation, honoring nature as a divine goddess, a beautiful being that she spreads her earth is spread out for us to walk upon like a prayer carpet, and how we can, again, keep that relationship really sacred and honored. So he's had a book called Nature Meditations, and it's all about seeing the creation as divine. And wherever I look, this is from a raga, I see thy beloved face covered under many different veils. Nature does not teach the glory of God. It need not teach it, because nature is the glory of God. And in the rose I see thy delightful countenance. So wherever you look, there is the face of God. And that's also from the Quran, I think, yes. So, and Allah is with you wherever you are. And we know that famous quote from the Upanishads, the little space within the heart is as great as this vast universe. The heavens and the earth are there, the sun, the moon, and the stars, fire and lightning, the winds are there, and all that now is and all that is not, for the whole universe is in him, and she dwells in our heart. In the center of the castle of Brahma in our own body, there's a small shrine in the form of a lotus flower, and within it can be found a small space. We should find out who dwells there, and we should want to know our God. So it's asking us to, perhaps as a practice, to always go deeply within our being, settle deeply in that small space within the heart, and find out who is there. Who do you carry? And Hazrat Nai Khan talked about its purpose is to awaken to the divinity in man. Like, it's there, it's virtual, but to really awaken it, to bring that divinity forth. And of course, acts of service. Well, that's a way that we show our love of God and to share it with others. And we were hearing some talk about Mother Teresa, and they were saying how she didn't feel so close to God. She actually had a dark night of the soul. But she said all throughout that time, when she was serving the poor in India, she said, I felt like, well, if at least I could be a pure drop of water. I could be one of those drops. And there's in this whole ocean of drops. And so I could aspire to be one of those pure drops of water. And that would be what I could focus on, even though I still felt that kind of hide and seek with God. And there's a feeling in the Buddhist tradition, you ascend with the view of divinity in man, the divinity in all forms, and then you descend with the conduct. So that our conduct, how we treat each other, how we treat the earth, how we relate, is all reflective of our view, how deeply we know God to exist in the heart of each other, how deeply we know God wants us to unfold the divine in every action, every thought, every breath. So one last thing is Ibn Arabi says, why do you look for me up there? I am here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Kainat, for this illuminating talk about where my God lives. And she emphasized on experience, that it is a matter and not of description, but you have to experience it. There are analogies, and many tend to take the analogies rather literally and killing the spirit of analogy in the process. So therefore it is important to see that these analogies are meant to guide us, to change our life, and thus we now come in actual experience of God. Experience cannot be denied. That is the highest proof of anything. Theories and such things are okay, logic okay, but one of the great philosophers say that, look, that your Shankaracharya, he says that even if 1,000 scriptures tell you that the fire is very cold and all that, are you going to believe that? Your experience tells you, hey, my finger burned the other day, so you won't take that. It is the experience is the authority, last final authority, that you cannot erase yourself also. Even if you want, your experience is the final authority. So where God lives, the final authority, the final answer is, well, experience it. The paths are there by transcending the ego. That is what she was telling. And she, along with her wonderful husband, Moinuddin, they have written a great book about this, an emerald earth, cultivating a natural spirituality and serving, creating beauty in our world. So that is how her message was today. So thank you very much. And now we are in for another wonderful music. Our friend Hannah Reseger, she does, in the Vedanta realms, this is only I hear the raps from Hannah, Vedantic raps. So, well, you have to put on that music. I had emailed it to both AJ as well as to Vedanta.Providence yesterday. Yes. See if it is in the spam folder. It has to be there. Got it? It is.
She wants to start without the music, so
Or I will resend it.
no, they got that.
They got it, okay.
They got it, but there's some gap between getting and
And
executing.
executing.
Okay. I need a mic though. Give her the microphone, please.
She will introduce it first.
Go ahead.
Mic check.
She will introduce it. Give her some.
Mic check. Yeah, there we go. What's up, everybody? Good evening. Swami, thank you for having me. It's always an honor to be invited to anything that Vedanta does. I go by the name Be More 7, Blessed Movement and Original Rhymes Divine. And I've been a hip-hop artist for about 30 years now. The song that I'm about to do is inspired by Swami Vivekananda. So I'll just start with a little a cappella, and then whenever he gets the music, he could drop the beat. Stop not till the goal is reached, stop not till the goal is peace. Stop not till the goal is reached, stop not till the goal is reached. Stop not till the goal is reached, stop not till the goal is peace. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion, shifting appearances, causing confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion, shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die.
Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Vision, perception,
yeah. Rewind it to the beginning though.
Shifting appearances, forming confusion.
We got it. Vedanta, all paths lead to same truth, searching for unity in everything that we do. Truth is one, destiny, fate. We cannot escape, so we camouflage to not break. Satchitananda, Vivekananda. The mind is an instrument, don't let it wander. The world is one, not better or worse. Merging into oneness as the strength of the earth. Have faith in yourself, if no one else, cause others might let you down, but God will help bring you back up. God's will is in control. Even when we think we are, we're really stuck in the mode. Realize that every soul connects perfectly. Knowledge is finding unity and diversity. We should put our minds on things, not draw our minds to them. Don't force concentration, meditate on Zen. Vision, perception, perspective. Can you turn that up a little bit? Forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion. Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. It will take tremendous vigilance and perseverance to know but little of that which is within you. Knowledge is but only harmonized experience. Just take a look around, cause all is continuous change. Rearrange when things get strange, let go or get caged. The powers of the mind are like rays of light dissipated, but when they are concentrated they will illumine and all will be consecrated. This is our only true means of knowledge. The cosmic energy, seeds grow to flowers, cycles, infinite akasha, pranayam, so many differences it's hard to get along. That's why we need to rely on truth to stay strong. Vivekananda teaches lessons that can't go wrong, teaching the religion of fearlessness. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion. Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion. Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Fearlessness is the goal that we strive for. Always wanting more but not working towards. We speak of many things and never do them. Fear holds us back, don't react, just pursue them. See what becomes of it, don't turn your back and quit. Even if it only seems like it's a little bit. Change can't be equipped to happen overnight. Don't give up until you get it right. Bringing truth to the light is what he's about. Vivekananda thus spake to big clouds, gave us muscles of iron and nerves of steel. Don't conceal his truth, massive and unreal. This is not about finding religion. He taught us how to manifest the divine within. This is not about finding religion. He taught us how to manifest the divine within. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion. Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Vision, perception, perspective, illusion. Shifting appearances, forming confusion. You were never born and you will never die. The soul is beyond life and death or the sky. Yeah. Thank you.
Shifting appearances, only confusion. You are never born, you are never going to die. It is a very important message clothed in the popular rap music, gives this the wonderful thought that if we want to know, remove the confusion that these fleeting appearances are real. The body is fleeting. And body is born, body dies. It is a fleeting appearance. Go beyond that. And you know that you are never born. You are never going to die. It is, you are divine. That truth will come out as the confusion is taken out. Thank you very much, Hannah. Wonderful. Now we will have the last speaker of this symposium, Swami Sarvapriyananda.
Reverend Swami Yogatmanandaji, esteemed speakers, and my dear friends. Where does my God live? What a lovely question. When I first saw the subject, I fell in love with that, what a wonderful question. It's a question that children ask. You're saying, children ask, where is God? And it's a question that theologians and philosophers ask. It's a very philosophically deep question. Where is God? It's a question that saints ask. Not in a doubting way, but when you miss God, when the saint's heart misses the presence of God, where are you, my Lord? So in that sense, where is God? And it's a question that skeptics ask. Atheists ask, where is your God, quote unquote? Where? So it's a wonderful question. It's a lovely question. And I'm going to ask it thrice in the next few minutes. The first pass from a Vedantic perspective, where does my God live? And immediately it strikes me the where is a space word. Where asks about a place. Which place, which part of space, where does your God live? Or when is God? A time word. Why only where? When? Is God now, or was God in the past, or is God in the future? I saw a big billboard, after death you will meet God. Call 1800 something for the truth. But it's interesting. After death, when you say after, it's a time word. So when is God? Another billboard, just like that, it said, heaven is a place. God is in heaven. So that's a space word. Where is God? When is God? And again, what is God? Your God, when you talk about God, what exactly are you talking about? You talk about a human being, you know what you're talking about. A table or a chair, you know what you're talking about. But what God, when you say God, what is God? What's God made of? What is God? So in Vedanta, these are called Desha Kala Vastu, space, time, object. You can have a space question about God. Where is your God? You can have a time question about God. When is your God? And you can have an object question about God. What? Which one? What exactly is God? And the answer in Vedanta is the word for God is Brahman, which literally means the vast. And the answer in Vedanta is, where is God? Everywhere. God is here, there, everywhere. When is God? God is every when. God is in the past, God is now, God is in the future. God is eternal. What is God? God is everything. There is no thing apart from God. So everywhere, all the time, and everything is God, and yet not quite. If you go even deeper, it's only by accepting, assuming that there is something called space, then you say God is everywhere. Because you're already accepting, assuming everywhere is there. So there is space, and then God is somehow filling up the space. Assuming that there is time, then you say God is eternal. Assuming there are objects, independently existing objects, then you say God pervades all of them. None of that is true, according to Vedanta. None of that is true. It's rather the other way around. Space is in God. God is not in space. It's not right. When you ask, where is your God? Vedanta will say, that's a wrong question. Not where is your God. Where is in God? The space, all space is in God. When is God? That's a wrong question. Because time itself is in God, is an appearance in God. What is God? When you say God is everything, you've already assumed everything exists and that somehow it's God. No, Vedanta says the other way around. Everything appears in God. Everything, Vivekananda said once in a poem written to one of his American disciples, Mary Hale. She wrote a poem to Vivekananda. I have understood what you have said, what you have taught, that all is God. And Swami Vivekananda wrote back and said, I have never taught such strange doctrine that all is God. All is not, God only is. That's Vedanta. Where is God? No. Where is not? God only is. When is God? When is not? God only is. What is God? What objects are not? God only is. And then after that, when we accept, when we see, we experience universe, when we are asking this question in this universe. So then it makes sense to say, if you say that there is space, well, there is, we experience space, then God must be everywhere. And you accept time, we experience time, we are asking this question in time, and we are bound by time. So, in that case, God is eternal. God is not temporary like everything else. God is not, we are all located in space, limited in space, but God is not limited in space. We are all limited in time. We have birth and death. This program is a beginning and an end. But God is not limited in time, doesn't have a beginning or an end, eternal. And each of us, we are entities, we are distinct entities, we are distinct persons and distinct things. God is not a thing among other things. God is that which is unlimited by things. So the way to put it is, God is in all things, or nothing is there apart from God. But that's already making some compromise with our experience, with the way we experience the universe. Well, that creates a problem. Just to say God is everywhere, it's cheap. God is everything, it's cheap. God is eternal, that's cheap too. Why is it cheap? Because the problem is, aren't you just taking this universe and calling it God? You're just changing the name. Here's this world, here are people, here are tables and chairs, here's the sky and the earth. Here are quasars and quarks. And we call it the universe. And now you're just coming along and calling it God. What good does that do? What good does that do? Why not? Because this universe is the problem for us. Here is birth and death. Here is old age and sickness. Here is misery and sin and imperfection. See, this is the problem with pantheism, you see. Why religions object to Spinoza's pantheism, for example. It's because you are taking the universe, and somehow it sounds cool to say everything is God, and yet that means God is subject to misery and death and suffering and sickness and limitation. Then just call it the world. Why are you calling it God? Even worse, if you say God is everywhere, my problem is then in that case God must be here. If God is everywhere, God must be here. If God lives everywhere, God must be living here. But I don't see God here. You see, it is an advantage to saying God is in heaven. Then if somebody asks, why can't I see God? Well, because God is in heaven. You're not in heaven. And there's an advantage. There's an advantage to saying God is after death. What's the advantage? Then if you ask, why can't I experience God? Why can't I see God? Because it's after death. Didn't I tell you? Read the board. After death you will see God. You are not dead yet. There's an advantage. And if you say God is everything, there's a problem, because I don't see God in anything. You see, God is everywhere. I don't see God anywhere. God is eternal all the time. I don't see God anytime. And God is in everything. I don't see God in one single thing also. That's the problem. Vedanta gets around this by saying that the difference, that it is true that God is everywhere, that God is in all things, and God is eternal, but why is it hidden from us? It's hidden by ignorance. That hidden by not knowing, not realizing, not seeing what is already an open secret. It's presented to us. It's right here, right now, all the time, in all things, but we don't see it. And the reason we don't see it is it's ignorance. There's an Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, which tells us where is God and how to see God. It says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, infinite existence and consciousness, or infinite existence, reality and knowledge, infinite is Brahman. Brahman is unlimited existence or being, and unlimited awareness or consciousness. That is Brahman. Now we know why the name for God, or term applied for God in Vedanta is Brahman. It literally means the vast, the unlimited. If it was not everywhere, it would be limited in space. If it was not all the time, it would be limited in time. And if there is anything other than God, it would be limited in object. There would be something other than God. All that's fine, but one may still persist. Okay? God is here. God is now. God is anything that we experience here, show me. And Vedanta boldly takes up that challenge and says, yes, it's an open secret. We are experiencing God all the time. Where? Look at things which exist. God is defined as unlimited existence or unlimited reality. Look at things which exist. And we see this, tables and chairs and people, they all exist. So are these things God? Not quite. These are all limited existences. Remember, we define God as unlimited existence. So these are all limited existences. But there is one thing in all of this which is unlimited, and which is existence itself, being itself. In Vedanta, this is called Sat, pure being. It's like, you see 10,000 waves in the ocean. Waves are continuously coming up and growing, rising and falling and disappearing. But one thing that doesn't rise and disappear and is water. Water is always there. The water of the ocean is always there. It comes up as waves and it disappears, but all the waves are nothing but that water. If you ask, where does water live in this ocean? Everywhere. But I see waves. That's water. Now I see no waves. That's water. I see bubbles. I see foam. I see surf. That's water. And the Upanishads talk about many such examples, clay and pots, and there are various kinds of pottery. Are those God? Not quite. Are those clay? Not quite. But the reality of all of them is clay. The substance out of which they have all been made is clay. Exactly like that in this universe of all existing things. Living and non-living, concrete things like this, and abstract things like a number or concepts and ideas, or Plato's forms or whatever. All of them, notice one thing common to all of them. They exist. They are. That's why we are talking about them. So this unlimited existence in all existing things, this is God. This is the God of Vedanta, an unlimited being. A recent philosopher, I think the most brilliant thinker in the 20th century, Martin Heidegger, he is the one who brought up this question of existence in Western thought again. And he says the deepest, widest, and the most fundamental question we can ask is the question of existence. Why is it deep? Because, in science, for example, deep means like the body. You can talk of it, from a physiological point of view. You can talk of it deeper from a biological point of view. Even deeper, you can talk about it from a chemical point of view. Even deeper, you can talk about it from a physics point of view, particles and all. But even deeper is existence itself, being itself. So it's the deepest question possible. It's the widest question possible, because everything, each branch of knowledge talks about only that. Biology talks about living things. Music talks about music, songs and instruments and all. Music doesn't talk about cells and tissues. But there's one subject which talks about everything possible, and that's existence. You say, wait a minute, what about non-existence? Well, non-existence doesn't exist, so we can leave it out. Heidegger says this. By the way, he was a Nazi, which goes to show you can be a brilliant thinker and not a particularly good human being at all. No. That's very interesting. So, this is the idea of God in Vedanta. And Vedanta says this unlimited being, this unlimited consciousness, this unlimited bliss, this unlimited being consciousness itself is bliss, ananda or bliss. So that Brahman, the ultimate reality, God, is also called Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, or existence, awareness, bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. Where does God live? Where does my God live? My God lives in existence, Sat. Where does my God live? My God lives in consciousness, in awareness, in every experience that we have. One of the Upanishads says, Pratibodha viditam amritatvam vindate. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. In every experience, when you experience God, you attain immortality. So every experience is based on consciousness. Without consciousness, no experience. That pure consciousness, underlying consciousness, not the changing awareness that we are talking about here, that is God. God lives in Chit, pure consciousness. Where does God live? God lives in Ananda, in bliss, in fulfillment, in joy. The three greatest questions of philosophy. What is real? That's one branch of philosophy, ontology. It used to be called metaphysics at one time. How is knowledge possible? That's another question, epistemology. And what is the purpose of all of this? What is good? What is bad? What is moral? What is immoral? What is beautiful and what is not beautiful? It used to be called ethics and aesthetics at one time. It's all clubbed under a branch. Now the new name is axiology. So philosophy consists of the greatest, most fundamental questions that we can ever ask. Ontology, epistemology, axiology. And very, very interesting, it struck me, the Vedanta idea of God, conception of God, being, consciousness, bliss, are actually answers to these three questions. What is ultimately real? Existence is real. But, Sat is the answer. How is knowledge possible? Chit, consciousness is the answer. What is the point of it all? Ananda, bliss is the answer. Sat, Chit, Ananda. And even this is not, if this is not dramatic enough, Advaita Vedanta says the real secret, the heart of Advaita Vedanta is this Sat, Chit, Ananda, this infinite being, infinite awareness, infinite fulfillment is you. Tat Tvamasi, you are that. Where does God live? God lives in you. That's not quite right. God is you. But don't mistake it for you, the individual person. That's megalomania, that's craziness. That's why it has to be handled carefully, this truth. Tat Tvamasi, you are that thou art. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So God does not live in you, God is you in reality. In knowledge, in enlightenment, you and God are the same reality. One of our Swamis, senior Swamis, told a young monk who told me in his old age that this Swami, he said to me, he touched me in the forehead like this, and I was startled because of sudden touch in the forehead, and this old Swami said to me, there, that one which got startled, which shrank back immediately, that one, there is no rascal called God other than that one. In Bengali, Shala. So, it's just this Vedantic statement. What we call God and what we call you, truly understood, not on a surface level, never on a surface level, is one and the same thing. But I hear you, what you are saying, what you are thinking in the mind, that's all very metaphysical, that's all very philosophical, all very abstract. Let's get real. Second time I'll ask this question, where does your God live? Where does my God live? The same Upanishad says, you want to know where God lives, want to find God, experience God? Look in your heart. You see there's in the cave of your heart, there is a sacred space. In the sacred space of the cave of your heart, you will find God. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. You can see God, you can experience God in the sacred space of your heart. In the devotee's heart, the beloved dwells. In the yogi, the meditator's heart, is the divine light shining. It is hidden. How is it hidden? It is hidden by inattention. It is hidden by the movements of our mind, the fluctuations of our mind. Still the mind, the yogi says, attend to what is within, not to what is outside. We do not see the divine within because we are continuously pouring ourselves out into the world outside. I'm translating from the Upanishads. It is a spiritual hero who averts the gaze, sort of stops the gaze from going outwards and looks inwards and stills the mind and sees the divine within. Where does your God live? Your God lives in the heart of the devotee, in the heart of the one who loves God, in the heart of the one who attends, who pays attention. Once more, we shall ask, all right, that's, inwardness, but what about this world? Where does God live? Where does your God live? Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda's guru, he once said, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. Serve all sentient beings knowing them to be God. Serve all sentient beings knowing them to be God. Where does God live? Everywhere, in everything, and at all time. Great. But Vivekananda said, my God, the poor. My God, the ignorant. My God, the wicked. So especially God lives in action. God lives in service. God lives in love. In this world, when you are engaged with this world. My God, the poor. My God, the sick. My God, the ignorant. My God, the wicked, he says. If it be true that God is, your Vedanta says, everywhere and everything and nothing is there other than God, then the things where we would not expect to find God, there actually God is more manifest. Where does your God live? My God lives in service. My God lives in love. My God lives in the dynamic action where we pour ourselves out in the service of God in all sentient beings, especially in humanity, most manifest in humanity. Here also it's hidden. Here also it's hidden. It's hidden. We see human beings. Where's God? It's hidden. It's hidden by our greed. It's hidden by lust. It's hidden by anger. Kama, krodha, lobha. When anger, greed, and lust are converted into love, into sacrifice, and then into service, you see God in all sentient beings. So three times we asked this question. 3 times we have found answers. One, the most vast metaphysical answer, all-encompassing. God and God only. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Infinite existence, consciousness is Brahman, the vast. Everywhere, all the time, in everything. But hidden by ignorance, revealed by knowledge. Second time we ask, where does your God live? In yourself, in your heart. Hidden by inattention, by distraction, revealed by attention, by turning inwards, by meditation. And third time when we ask this question, where does your God live? It lives in suffering. It lives in sorrow. It lives in the worst of places, in the worst of people. And it is hidden by our ambition, greed, anger, lust, and it is revealed by love, and it is revealed by sacrifice and expressed in service. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Sarvapriyananda. That was wonderful exposition, bringing all the 3 layers, the philosophical part, and then the active part inwards, active part outwards. This is very important, friends, to see that why do we not see this truth? Because we want to cling on to our ignorance. It is, one minister asked, this is a nice story, that to his congregation, his or her, I don't know here, that doesn't matter, but then it was, okay, the God is in heaven, who wants to, come on, who wants to go? Who wants to go to heaven? And he was surprised. Nobody was raising hand. And he asked, none of you want to go to heaven? We want to, but eventually, not right now. That is how we want to hold on to the ignorance, because our so-called pleasures, they are so-called. Actually, they are suffering with the label of pleasure. So we open the bottle of pleasure and get suffering from it. So it is because of our addiction to that, we hold on to the ignorance, and therefore we don't see this truth. Just let us be ready. Let us be ready to get rid of ignorance. And then we will see that. I was reading Shanti Deva's Bodhicharya Avatara. So he classifies the aspirants in two types. That one who know that yes, they should experience the truth, but they know that knowledge doesn't prompt them to act. There are the others which, prompt that they know, and therefore they want to get there. They want to transform their lives to get there, and thus they get it. So this is a primary thing, friends. Let us resolve that we have to change the way we live if we are not actively engaged in discovering our true nature or God or Brahman, whatever word may use. But that is the practice of religion. See what is written there, right there. Swami Vivekananda's one of the great statements. Religion is the manifestation of divinity already in man. It is already there. Religion in various ways helps us to manifest it. So friends, let us take this message from these wonderful expositions by all these speakers. I am so thankful to every one of them for bringing to fore the clear message in different ways. We need different ways, I was telling one young man going to gym that, why you can do these exercises, they are good. He says they are good, but they are good for only certain muscles. They don't give exercise to all muscles. So we need a message that will give input in all ways of our understanding. That is why symposiums are great, that we see the truth from various angles. We strengthen ourselves in various ways. That it is, we somehow want to cling on to this ignorant life. And so it is said, heaven, after death you will see God, post-mortem God, It is, that is how one of our speakers used to say, it is all post-mortem. After you die, there is a nice story about it I had read in my childhood. One elderly lady was, talking to a neighboring little girl. Hey, you are so nice, you are so cute. Can you give me a kiss? And then the little one obliged, Then she said, oh, I love you. Do you love me? The child said, yes, I love you. Then that lady went a little forward, said, so, if I die, will you cry? The girl said, yes, I will cry. Then she asked further, and there she committed a big blunder. She said, show me, how will you cry? And the little one said, die first. So, we do not want to die. This clinging to this form, this, it's a pathology to cling on to this constantly changing form that our wonderful rap singer has very clearly told, that it is these continuously changing forms. How can you ever hold on to that? And that is possible only in ignorance. So let us give up this disease, and that is this religion, in the true sense of the term, is a medicine to cure this pathology of holding on to that which by very nature is fleeting. So, friends, we try to see this divinity in everything that is the beginning. It is true that that actually assumes something wrong, that things are there, space is there, time is there, but that is our ignorant experience. Therefore, religion in Vedanta is also projected as a journey. Like in Kathopanishad, they have given a beautiful analogy of a chariot, that this body is like a chariot and you are out to the journey from ignorance to knowledge. So you take up this journey because in ignorance we see that this, I am this, and then there is the God there. It is not journey from one place to another place, but from ignorance to knowledge. So in ignorance, when we see that all are there, it begins with this conviction, but that God, the true existence, true knowledge, true bliss is in everyone. So let us salute that. That is how when in India we greet each other, we don't say just, hey, hello, hi. We say, namaste. Namaste means, I salute the divine in you. That it includes so many ideas, this simple word, namaste. That is how we greet each other. And now we will be coming towards the close of this program by the recital of this wonderful song. So please join in singing. It is a very simple tune and everybody will be able to sing that. It is to be projected out here. So please.
Swami said, sing along, clap along. We'll have a little fun with this.
Namaste, namaste. I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true. I salute the divine in you. Namaste, namaste. I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true. I salute the divine in you. You may be from Africa, you may be from Asia, you may be from Australia, but there's something in same in all of us. Namaste, namaste, I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true, I salute the divine in you. You may be from America, you may be from Europe, you may be from the islands, but there's something the same in all of us. Namaste, namaste, I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true, I salute the divine in you. You may be a Christian, you may be Islamic, you may be Hebraic, but there's something the same in all of us. Namaste, namaste, I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true, I salute the divine in you. If you are Native American, Buddhist or a Taoist, or if you're a Hindu, there is something the same in all of us. Namaste, namaste, I salute the divine in you. In India they say what's so true, I salute the divine in you. I salute the divine in you. I salute the divine in you. Namaste.
Thank you, friends, for this beautiful musical performance. I really don't feel like thanking them because they are part and parcel of Vedanta society. So how to thank them? But yeah, they worked hard to put it together and presented it so well. Of course, I thank the speakers, and how many times I should thank them, I don't know. It's going to be always insufficient. And I thank you all for coming for this function here. And this is, as I told, that this is how our now beginning of our fall session, all our programs like the daily morning and evening meditations, Tuesday and Friday classes, and the Sunday services, day-long meditations once a month on Saturday. All these are now starting. So please, whenever it is possible, feel welcome to join any of these or all of these. So also I want to thank those who have provided food today. When this theme was launched in 2002, there is one India Museum and Heritage Society here in Rhode Island. So the members from there said, we will be doing the food arrangements. And although the office bearers changed, the one great person who was at that time at the helm of that, he passed away. His name was Kulbhushan Chaudhary, lovingly being called Bush. But others have kept up the tradition, so my thanks go to them. And, well, friends, before this, we thank the Divine Mother, seek the blessings. This is an important aspect of Hindu faith, worship of God as Mother. It is very philosophical and very practical, both. Philosophical in the sense that what is this Mother? The one without second, appearing as many without any change. What makes it possible? What power makes this possible? That is the feminine aspect called Divine Mother. That motherhood makes this one apparently many. It is beyond one and many, but then we say one and many. So that is the Divine Mother, and it is with the blessings of Divine Mother everything happens. So we shall now be praying to the Divine Mother. That will conclude the program, except we shall be saying grace before going to take our dinner.
Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all seeing glory. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence. O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Blessed Mother Divine, all love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, all love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, all love to you.
So I'll be doing the regular Sunday service closing prayer, which is an interfaith prayer. May the Divine, who is the Father in heaven of Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest oneself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. And now we shall say the grace. There is a reason for saying grace, you know. The devotees, they feel the presence of God in the eater as well as the eaten. Same one reality is in both. So while eating, let us remember that. There is a rather humorous story about, that one man suddenly faced a man-eating tiger, was on his walk. And then he was a devotee, so he prayed to God, God, please make this tiger a devotee. And immediately he saw the God folding hands. Oh, tiger folding the hands. Yeah, thank you. Tiger folding the hands. And he thought now he is saved. No, the tiger was just saying grace before taking the meals. So it is. So let us say grace. Om Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagna Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahmakarma samadhina Hari Om Tat Sat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Lord, please accept our offerings. Bless us. Make us pure and all-loving. May we not accuse, demand or complain, but love, respect and cooperate with all. May we not find faults with others, but try to find our own faults. May we not treat others as strangers, but learn to make all our own. May we feel the whole world to be our own. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So please proceed to the basement and let us have a wonderful concluding dinner.